No, I like that. I like saying not.
Oh, you want me to say slightly?
Yeah, you can say that. That's great. I love words like that.
Oh, good. Okay. Are we on?
Yes.
Okay, we're talking with Aajonus Vonderplanitz again today. And Aajonus, I've noticed anytime I go into a health food store, sometimes 90% of the store, in some cases 100% of the store is supplements. You've got vitamins, you've got superfoods, you've got your algae, you have your protein powders. And I know from reading your book, you have a slightly different take on supplements. Can you explain why and what your position on that is?
Not slightly. Big difference on them. You have to understand how supplements are made. Now, most of your supplements that are not natural are all chemically derived. They are a look-alike. It's like you want a Rolls Royce. When you go get a supplement, you're getting a plastic model of a Rolls Royce. It will not do for you what it's supposed to do. Most people, when they start taking vitamins, they're also changing their diet. That creates their biggest change. Of course, they're going to be poisoning their bodies, because when you make a natural supplement, what they do is they take a food. Now, where do they get that food? To get it cheap, they usually go to some food manufacturer, buy their waste, and then dissolve that into a soup, and then extract what they want out of it. So most of the time, your natural supplements are highly contaminated and highly processed and cooked. Your supplement may say raw. That's because the laboratory made it raw, but where they got the food from their source, probably cooked it, cauterized it completely, all kinds of chemicals in it. But the laboratory that took it from there didn't put any more chemicals in it, didn't do anything to it, unless they had to dissolve it into a soup. Because the only way that you can extract anything from a solid substance is to dissolve it into a soup, into a liquid, and then extract from there. So, how does a laboratory that makes supplements natural, how do they dissolve a food to extract what they're looking for out of it? There are only two processes: gasoline or kerosene. Would you soak your food in gasoline or kerosene for 72 hours minimum till it melts into a soup, and then rinse it for 2 minutes and eat it?
Definitely not.
No, that food has gasoline or kerosene in it. Now, it isn't straight gasoline, it isn't straight kerosene. There are derivatives. Like the derivative most often used is hexane from gasoline. It just makes it tiny bit less toxic. But if you drink it, you're dead. You're going to dissolve your body. And these substances, whether it's the gasoline or the kerosene derivative, is in every particle of what's been extracted. So a lot of people think that they're getting high from supplements because they're getting this charge of energy. It's the kerosene or gasoline poisoning that's causing an adrenaline rush, and they're getting an adrenaline rush because the body will make hormones like adrenaline for emergency purposes. Because what is a hormone? It's probably 60 to 80% fat, 15 to 20% protein, and a small amount of carbohydrate structured. Now the body can use that to bind with poisons. So you intake these poisons, you consume these poisons, then all of a sudden your body rushes with adrenaline to try to save you from poisoning yourself to death. So every time somebody's taking a supplement, it's either entirely a chemical derivative, or it's taken from a food that's been soaked in kerosene or gasoline. There's nothing safe about any supplement. Now your superfoods are a little different. They may be foods that are dry. But in my research with dry foods, you can't digest them. Or very little. Why? Because they're enzyme inactive. Enzymes aren't alive as most people think. Enzymes are protein structures. They can be active or inactive. It's like you can have bubbly water or non-bubbly water. You can call bubbly water alive and the other one non-alive, but it has nothing to do with life. It's a chemical reaction. So if you don't have your enzymes active, you're not going to be able to utilize your vitamins in it. That's also going to restrict your protein and fat use of whatever you're eating. So any dried food is going to be a very inferior food. And if you're talking about algae, you're talking about a vegetation. We don't eat vegetation. We don't digest vegetation properly anyway. And then if you dehydrate it, it's just going to start becoming hydrated by the time it's 19, 20 hours into your digestive tract. And very little, I mean maybe a 1/1000th of a gram is ever digested of vegetation in the bowel. Bowel does not digest anything but proteins and fats. That feeds the brain and nervous system. So, whole foods is the way to go. These superfoods, I mean, you could eat honey with them, and it'll help you digest them, but still it's going to take a while before they start hydrating, and if it gets to the colon before you've begun to digest it properly, you're not going to digest it.
Mm. Okay, what about like protein powders?
Well, protein powders are made in the same way. If you get protein from something, what are they mostly using to get protein from these days? What do you read on the labels?
Whey and I think soy.
Soy.
Yeah.
A hard bean. We're talking about a rock hard bean. How do they get that into a powder form and extract the protein from it and leave out the carbohydrate? They soak it in gasoline or kerosene into a soup, and then when it's a soup, then they dry it, they extract, they have a way chemically or by process of heat of extracting the protein from the carbohydrates and the fats. And then they put that into a protein powder full of kerosene or gasoline.
Same with whey? Because I notice a lot of bodybuilders use whey protein.
Well, what they do with the whey, just remember, whey is the liquid waste. So how do you get a powder from whey when it's 99.99% liquid?
Just dry it.
Yeah, and how do they dry it? They cook it, very high temperatures, to get it to evaporate quickly. And then they've got all these minerals on the bottom. You know? And there's very little protein in whey. So to me, it's a false advertisement. You know? Most of your protein stays in the milk curds. Very little proteins in that whey. What you're getting is a lot of minerals with some protein.
Okay. There was one thing I didn't quite understand is when you said about the vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
They either use kerosene or gasoline. You said some of the vitamins are produced by derivatives. I didn't really understand that.
Completely chemical. They'll take, proteins from, let's say, soy that's been dissolved and chemically toxic, and let's say they'll take to make vitamin D. They'll take an oil. They'll hydrogenate it to make sure everything's destroyed. There's no bacteria in it or anything like that. Anything that can survive, they'll ruin it. They completely get rid of it. When they hydrogenate an oil, they turn it into plastic. It has the same molecular structure as plastic. So it's a plastic oil. They subject that to radioactive material. They call that vitamin D. Wow. Nothing like vitamin D at all. But they say, oh, well, you get fat on your skin, the sun puts, your body absorbs the radiation into that oil, that fat on your skin, not oil, fat on your skin, that cholesterol. Absorbs into that cholesterol, makes vitamin D. So if we take oil and we subject it to radioactive material, we're going to have vitamin D. Hello? That's the mentality of these people who just want to make money. It's not vitamin D. Everything that is fortified with vitamin D is not true vitamin D. It's a toxic plastic oil subjected to radioactive material. Toxic substance. Clogs the lymphatic systems, causes heart disease, clogging of the arteries with the plastic oils. Causes multiple problems.
So do supplements have any use whatsoever? Any beneficial use?
If you're talking about raw unsalted butter, that could be a supplement because you're concentrating a fat. You've separated most of the protein and the whey from it. So you've got a concentrated fat. That is a good supplement.
But other than that, forget it.
No, not good. Well, your vegetable juice is a good supplement. That's a process, juicing. But because we don't digest the cellulose, but maybe 2 to 6%, 7, 8% in some people, maybe 13% in some people who've eaten vegetarian diet a long time, I need another egg.
Sure.
Just cut that off for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, and that
No,
might not
that's-
even
that's
be,
okay.
that might not even be necessary
yeah,
because
okay.
because
All right.
when
I
you
went
said
through
derivatives,
vitamin D,
when you started explaining, then I remember you actually had explained it earlier. But actually, when you said derivatives, I went, derivatives of what? You know what I mean?
right.
So that's not necessarily a necessary question. It's just that I had the question in my head.
Yeah, they're just derived chemicals.
So that's not really a necessary
No.
question at this point now.
Okay.
All right, you're on. Go ahead.
What are we gonna do?
So are we done with supplements, or do we have
Did you
to
have
kind
any
of?
more questions?
No. Well, I only have a personal question because I know there's some supplements out there that claim that they.
Ask your personal one.
Oh, okay. Without, but I couldn't mention the brand, could I? Because I know all these
Standard
fans-
process you're talking about.
No, that's one that somebody, Dave, actually mentioned. I was telling him about supplements. He said, "Yeah, but I take standard process. These are better." And then there's another one that Dr. Pepe uses. Do you know which ones Pepe uses?
No.
They don't break down into A, B, C, D, and everybody swears that these are different and these are much better. Like their kidney this and. But I don't. I think you've covered it actually. I think you've done it.
Okay.
Yeah. So do we need to put an end to it?
Well, what you could say is, you could say, there's some supplemental companies that claim that theirs are completely pure. Is that true?
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
Are we on?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I do have one other question on this. Is there are some companies that produce supplements that say that their supplement is completely different from all the others. They say that it's completely pure, completely healthy, and are they?
No. A lot of those companies, or one in particular, two women in an audience asked me about their supplements, and I said, their laboratory uses kerosene, that's what your natural, kerosene is natural, so that's what they use, so that's a natural supplement. I don't care that your company grows the corn that they use or grows the beans that they use. They have to dissolve it into a soup to be able to extract what they want to concentrate. And there are only two things laboratories use. No laboratory uses anything other than kerosene or gasoline. And kerosene, because it's natural, is used for all natural supplements. So those two women told their company, their attorneys called me on Monday morning and said, you need to put an ad in the LA Times, New York Times, San Francisco Chronicle, and I think it was the Houston, whatever it was, Inquirer, that I had put as major cities because that's where I had lectured, and told everybody that their supplements were not good. And I said to the attorney, have you been to the laboratory? And he said, no. And I said, you need to visit the laboratory and see what they use to dissolve the stuff, the foods that you grow, to extract the concentrated nutrients that you want. And, the guy was about $500,000 that would cost me to put those, in the front section, full page ad. So it would cost me about $500,000. I didn't hear from them again. Why? Because I knew what laboratories use. I've been in many laboratories that only use those two things to dissolve the foods from which they extract those concentrated substances, those so-called concentrated nutrients. It's all toxic.
Wow.
People are getting high off kerosene and gasoline and their adrenaline rush. They're not getting it out of the food. Out of the supplements. They get it out of the food. That's where you're going to get those proper nutrients. And as I started to say before, juice is a good vitamin supplement. Vegetable juice. That's why I tell people to have vegetable juice. We don't digest the pulp, as I mentioned before in another interview. We digest maybe 2%, 6%, 8% in some people, maybe 13% in somebody who's been long-term vegetarian. But if you take the juice from vegetables, you get concentrated vitamins, concentrated minerals, and concentrated enzymes. So there's your vitamin supplement. There's your all-around supplement. Protein, just eat raw meats and raw dairy. You're going to get plenty of protein from there. From some, protein powder, it's not going to be a safe protein powder. Look at all your bodybuilders that do all that. They stop working out and they sag. Look at you. Look at me. I don't exercise at all. This is what I do on my, computer or the keyboard to the computer. I never exercise. I'm solid because I eat the raw meat. I don't have to exercise. I would exercise if I needed it. People who are in anxiety need to exercise because they have a lot of activity hormones. I'm a lazy person. I have no activity hormones unless it comes to sex. Then I'm motivated to have activity hormones. That's it.
Okay, well thanks, Aajonus.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you for being interested.
Okay, thank you again.
Okay. Good. Okay, now we're going to go over that